Good afternoon. Quick late lunch break here. Going to do the Inquirer read. Midday Inquirer read. Live. All right, let's get right to it. Separation of sections. One of our favorite activities. Funny, I am displaying a bifolded document, and so is Pelosi. The region. Okay. Power is on. Go Fly, guys. Big opening night win. Farabee did look good last night, didn't he? Didn't he now? He did. Food and dining. $55 plus living. Not there yet. Not there yet. Give me about 14 years, and then I'll concern myself with this section. For now, putting it in the garbage. All right, so I just happen to have food and dining here in front of me. I don't really do much with food and dining stuff. So I'm going to just flip through a power flip, see if there's any sort of dining news. I am interested in whether restaurants or other establishments have closed or what their situation is status-wise around the COVID regs. And like I anticipated, not much. Although there is it's like a special section around takeout standouts in Philly for vegan eaters. If you're a vegan type. Triangle Tavern. Algorithm Restaurants. And a whole bunch of them. Bourbon and Branch. I mean, there's a whole list of these vegan-friendly takeout establishments. Philadelphia's got some great dining options across the board. Vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, omnivore, meat-catarian. I mean, anything you want. Pizza-catarian. Feast. Either do it outside or takeout, but you can feast in Philly. Special teams trigger the Flyers' victory with a shorthanded training camp and no exhibition games. There will be rust, no doubt, in the first few weeks of the NHL season. Special teams didn't get much work in camp, so they figured to be especially out of sync. The Flyers didn't get the memo. Oh. What were they last night? Scored in his first two chances Wednesday, triggering an entertaining 6-3 opening night win over the Pittsburgh Penguins at the almost empty Wells Fargo Center. Okay. Farabee, like I said, grows up in a hurry. He had a great game last night. Troy Aikman. Doug favored Hurts. Okay, what is Troy Aikman's? That's his inside knowledge, I guess. Doug Pederson's firing Monday was good news for Carson Wentz and not so good news for Jalen Hurts, Troy Aikman said. The Fox Sports analyst and Hall of Fame quarterback was a guest on the Michael Irvin podcast on Podcast One, which drops Thursday morning. He said he spoke with Pederson after he was let go by the Eagles. Aikman said he gathered from his conversation with Pederson that a difference of opinion in how they were going to move forward with the quarterback position played a role in his firing. Ooh, spicy. Jeffrey Lurie has paid a lot of money to Carson Wentz, and they're on the hook with him and can't get out of that contract right away. Aikman told Irvin, his longtime friend and former Cowboys teammate. It is my belief that Doug Pederson felt that Jalen Hurts probably should be the quarterback going forward. But how does that mesh with Wentz's contract situation? I believe it all came down to how they're going to handle Carson Wentz. It's kind of like an obvious sort of like decision point. How are we going to handle Carson Wentz? That makes the rest of the dominoes topple where they may. Joe Brady, first to interview with the Birds. He's a Panthers aide. He's also seen as an innovator. He's 31 years old. Wow. Jeez. 31-year-old head coach. My Lord. I guess it's not that old when you're talking about players that are in their early 20s. I agree, David Murphy. No Harden deal for Sixers? Good. Call me old-fashioned, but bring on the Nets. Bring on James Harden. Bring on a future with Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle, and a full complement of first-round picks at the Sixers' disposal. Bring on a team that is built the way the old codgers used to build them. Once upon a time, championships were expected to be earned, not conjured from thin air. Once upon a time, a general manager wouldn't dream of trading a 24-year-old two-way force for a 31-year-old scorer, let alone one who reduced his last team to a smoldering pile of rubble. Daryl Morey might have dreamed it, but he didn't do it, and now the rest of us get to see what these Sixers can become. Do I believe all of this with every ounce of my being? Of course not. Somewhere in the multiverse, there's a world where James Harden is on his way to Philadelphia, and the local columnist is breathlessly envisioning the havoc that he and Joel Embiid will wreak. In this world, the Sixers are now the prohibitive favorites to win the Eastern Conference. Karis LeVert is in Brooklyn. Victor Oladipo is in Indianapolis. And the Nets have not mortgaged their future by trading away 4 first-round picks and making 4 pick swaps. Maybe Maxey is in Houston. Maybe he isn't. The headline is that Harden is a Sixer, and the Sixers are now as close to a title as they have been in 38 years. In this world, Morey's decision to trade Simmons is a painful but necessary move that a championship team must make. Trophies are won by players who are elite at scoring, not by players who are good to very good at a variety of things. All right, so that world's not the case, Dave. So where are you here? Get me to... Those worlds have one thing in common: the man who breathed them into existence. The multiverse is Daryl Morey's choose-your-own-adventure, and the only sensible option is to defer to his judgment. From the beginning, this was his game to play. Nobody knows the particulars better than him. He spent 8 years building a basketball team around Harden in Houston. He has spent a month watching the Sixers from the best seat in the house. How can anybody pretend to have a better assessment of the value of pairing one with the other? All right. Trust the process, right? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Trust Daryl Morey? I don't want to give up Maxey, Thybulle, and all those picks. Ben Simmons was understandable to be part of the deal, but on top of that, there's a little bit too much more to ask besides Simmons. What's with Curt Shilling in his Trump t-shirt? Curt Shilling's Twitter comments during the storming of the Capitol caused a stir. What did he say? He wrote, "You cowards sat on your hands, did nothing while liberal trash looted, rioted, and burned for Air Jordans and big screens." It's definitely a dog whistle there. Sit back, STFU, and watch folks start a conversation for SHIT that matters, like rights, democracy, an end of government corruption. It's happening. Hashtag it's happening. Reminds me of that scene in Bridesmaids. And she has to go to the bathroom in her wedding dress, and she goes in the middle of the street. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's obvious he meant what he said, because unlike some of his previous controversial tweets, Shilling opted against deleting this one. His Twitter account since last Wednesday has included rants about it. Antifa being involved in the Capitol rebellion, and a claim that evil, true evil, is at our doorstep. These are the most vile, corrupt beings on this planet, and they're here. Shilling also links to a website called HAPS that allows him to interact with other members. I listened long enough to hear him say this. My God, I can't think of a more repulsively corrupt entity than our mainstream media. They hate Trump. It's obvious. That's their prerogative, but they are still supposed to do their job. They stopped. He was always a POS. Curt Shilling. End games tonight. Worth watching. Flyers play tomorrow. Pittsburgh again. Sixers tonight at against Miami. Following the overtime win 2 nights ago against Miami. Today's weather. Ooh, a high of 48. We're living it right now. It's beautiful out there. I don't see a storm cloud in sight for the next couple of days. Oh, wait, I do see one here for Saturday. Otherwise, looking good. Looking real good. All right. Region. GOP seeks more control over courts. Not enough already. NJ, New Jersey expands the vaccine pool. Report finds persistent inequities in Philadelphia schools. A warning as the district races for school closings and other upheavals. Though most Philadelphia schools have made academic strides in recent years, 6 in 10 city children still attend a low-performing school, and the picture is much darker for Black and Latino children and kids living in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods. What else is new? Hashtag. Patterns are not new, but the persistent inequities are notable as the Philadelphia School District prepares to face significant budget challenges and a planning process that could result in school closings and other upheavals. The data come from a report released Wednesday by the Philadelphia School Partnership, which analyzed 3 years of enrollment, student achievement, and growth at schools serving about 140,000 children in kindergarten through 8th grade in traditional public schools and city charters. The children account for 70% of the 200,000 students enrolled in traditional public and charter schools combined. The report did not include high schools in its research or compare district to charter school performance. Not include high schools. Okay, I guess it's children. I don't know, they're not teenagers. By the report's metric, no elementary school serving a school population that's more than 85% economically disadvantaged is high achieving. Less than 10% of Black and Hispanic students are enrolled in high achieving schools. 45% of white students attend schools in a high achieving tier. The city's best schools are mostly located in the Northeast, in Center City, and in South Philly. Its lowest performers are North Philly, Southwest Philly, and Northwest Philly. In Southwest Philadelphia, for instance, where most residents are poor and Black, there are no high-achieving schools, 1 average-achieving school, and 12 low-achieving schools. In Fox Chase, with its higher concentration of white and middle-class residents, there are 7 high-achieving schools, 12 average-achieving schools, and 1 low-achieving school. Systemic! It's systemic. Can we all get there, please? Dogwalker killed in Brewerytown. A 25-year-old man walking a dog was fatally shot during an apparent robbery attempt Wednesday evening in the city's Brewerytown section. Shortly before 7 p.m., the man was at 31st and Jefferson Streets, about a block from his home, when he was approached by two males. Surveillance video shows that one male put a gun to his chest, while the other walked behind the victim and reached into his waist area, possibly his pockets. One shot was fired, and the males ran away. Police found the man lying on the sidewalk with a gunshot wound to his chest. He was still clutching the dog's leash and also was holding a phone. Police rushed him to Temple Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 7:30. People who knew the victim came to the scene afterward and took possession of the dog. Walking your dog, having a nice stroll on a nice evening around a 1 block from your house, and you're dead. Police officer arrested in 2019 vandalism incident. A 30-year-old Philadelphia police officer, has been arrested for an unspecified vandalism incident that happened in late 2019. Ryan Perez, a 5-year member of the force, was charged with public drunkenness, criminal mischief, and 2 counts of disorderly conduct for an incident that occurred on December 7th, 2019. No other details. Okay. It's kind of cool. Mini golf with local beer. Longtime friends to open Liberty Grounds in North Philly. Combines mini golf with hyper-local beer. It's opening at 1600 West Girard Avenue in North Philly. Takeout food and drinks will only be available at first. A little picture of the scene. Looks kind of nice. Got some putting grounds, some putting greens. When you can actually get in there to use the space. Even if you just mask up and putt. Carolyn Hacks, my girl. What's the question today? My husband's mother is coming to visit. I just found out she booked a hotel for her stay, which surprised me because she always stays with her children when she visits. Hotels in our city are not cheap. I asked my husband why, and I'm horrified by his answer. He says I stressed out about her last visit for days beforehand. And he doesn't want to put me/himself through that again. Ooh. Stress out? He's referring to the fact that I put effort into cleaning, planning meals, and preparing the linens. I don't think I gave off the impression that I didn't want her to come. And I would have done the same for any guest. I think he's really just upset because I disrupted his week. He, of course, is more comfortable with her and cares less about things like giving guests a clean towel. So what do I do now? Most of my communication with my mother-in-law is through him. I must look like an unwelcoming daughter-in-law, and I'm sure her feelings are hurt. What is the least awkward way to repair the damage my husband has done? Maybe he didn't do any damage. Maybe the mom was cool with it. He's cool with it. You just gotta chill the F out, lady. I don't know. These are pre-pandemic questions to give us a preview of post-pandemic life. They are not encouragement to travel or host right now. Little disclaimer there, Carolyn. Appreciate it. Ask your husband if he prefers to have his mother stay off-site. It could be that he used you as an excuse to steer her to a hotel. If so, then use this, in turn, as a good opportunity to discuss the marital politics of his throwing you under the bus without checking with you first. 3. If he wasn't using you in this way and actually likes having his mom stay with you, then call your mother-in-law after notifying your husband of your intent and say you and her son have a very different idea of stressed out. Say he sees putting out fresh towels as a stressful preparation when you see it as a staple of having, and not scaring off, guests, and you enjoy having her as a guest, so please come. In other words, give him his turn at taking the fall. Good luck. Okay, that was the answer to that question. I guess she didn't really feel like getting too much into it. There's a second question here. Can get into that. It's a bonus question. My mother is old and old school. My family is fine using their best behavior for the length of a dinner, but with longer visits that doesn't work. That doesn't work. We are a family who thinks farting is hysterical. She does not. That's kind of it in a nutshell. She's a quiet, helpful person who thinks of herself as a low-maintenance guest, which is mostly true. But my husband and children chafe at her formal, old-fashioned ways. When she visits, everyone in my family makes themselves scarce, and people are much shorter-tempered. I can't deal with that for the 10 days she's planning to visit. I do want her to come, but not for as long. I need to tell her some semblance of the truth. Suggestions? Carolyn says, why don't you just tell her your family is an unruly farting mob and you can't maintain their best? Grandma-friendly behavior for a full 10 days. You love her. Say so. And want her to feel welcome. So it's well-behaved visits for a few days or full-on wild kingdom for 10. Today's horoscope, you will recognize new needs expressed by family members, bring a spiritual healing atmosphere to the home. Don't allow yourself to be swayed by well-meaning advice. Avoid legal entanglements. Always a good suggestion. Listen carefully. Always a good suggestion. Enjoy a leisurely family discussion over dinner. All of it's just nonsense. It's just like, let me see what I can write today. Let me just pull these sentences together, put them in a paragraph, bundle them up. This is your horoscope. It's rooted in nothing factual. Turning to the OBITS. Rest in peace, my friends. Got a 48-year-old here. Passed peacefully January 11th. Not saying how, just peacefully. Patricia Leate. 69-year-old Elizabeth Bradley. 87, Arthur Davis. He's a mischievous child, born in 1933. He was also voted most talkative member of his only high school class. Mr. Davis studied pharmacy at Temple University, just like his mother. He also briefly made Rake brand colognes and hairsprays. Blessed with a great memory and a wit, he loved classic music, owls, traveling, arriving early, Jeopardy, volunteering as a theater usher, and at Pennsylvania Hospital. Helen O'Neill passed away on January 9th. She was born in 1937. She had a fantastic sense of humor, a huge heart, and always took the time to lend a hand, a smile, or a kind word to help anyone in need. She was married to James O'Neill for almost 40 years. A couple other folks here in the 70s to 90 realm. Everyone, hope you're all at peace. Region. Done. Region. Finito. Last. Save the front section for last, as is our typical process. All right, I'm not going to get into the impeachment. Pretty big news. Look at the more lesser-known potential stuff. I did see this. Amid surge, a push to open schools as states press for in-classroom learning and erratic vaccine rollout is complicating matters. State leaders around the U.S. are increasingly pushing for schools to reopen this winter, pressuring them even, as teachers begin to gain access to the vaccine against a raging pandemic. The U.S. recorded an all-time one-day high of 4,327 deaths on Tuesday, according to Johns Hopkins University. The nation's overall death toll from COVID-19 has topped 383,000 people, closing in fast on the number of Americans killed in World War II. Confirmed infections have reached about 23 million. Meek and Mark, 9th grade English teacher in Orange County, New York, got vaccinated Tuesday at a hospital using a link a friend texted her. It's just word of mouth. Here's a link, and hopefully you get a shot. I know of a woman who had her husband sit in front of a computer literally all day and just click the refresh button until an appointment came up. Mark, 34, is now doing some in-person teaching and is grateful for the added layer of protection. I told my students before that every day is one day closer to normalcy, she said. I think if we just remind ourselves of that, it just helps to pause and live in the moment for a minute. A report released Wednesday by the CDC adds to the evidence suggesting that children are not the main drivers of community transmission. It found that increase in reported cases among adults were not preceded by increases among children and teens. Young adults, it appears, may contribute more to the spread than children do. Chicago began a phased-in reopening of its schools this week, with about 6,000 pre-kindergarten and special education students expected to return to classrooms and other grades set to follow in the coming weeks. Illinois teachers are not eligible for vaccines yet, but Chicago officials are providing virus tests on school grounds for staff. I don't believe it's safe to reopen the schools. I don't believe it's safe for my family. I live with an elderly mom. I don't believe it is safe for the city's children or their families, said Kristen Roberts, a pre-kindergarten teacher. Well, you might be overruled, Miss Roberts, in short order. Biden's stimulus plan expected to include new child benefit. While a final decision has not been made, Biden may push for a proposal similar to his campaign pledge to provide $300 per month to American households for every child under 6, as well as $250 per month for every child between the ages of 6 and 17. That would amount to $3,600 per year for families with one young child, as well as $3,000 per year for families with older children. Biden officials are likely to include the expansion of an existing tax credit for children as part of a relief stimulus package that will also include $2,000 stimulus payments, unemployment benefits, and other assistance for the ailing economy. Wow. I got 2 kids. Could be a nice 2 young children. Could be a nice influx of support and cash. Cash flow? I'll take it. I mean, I think they should do a better job like sorting out who really needs the support, no question. Like, I'm not going to say no to money coming my way, but I wouldn't like be totally like, I want to be angry or not understanding of more of a, I don't know, a delineation between like people who are really impoverished, who lost their jobs, those kind of struggles, and just by just distinguishing how much they should get, and then maybe helping those that have not met those challenges with a little bit less funding. But I'm not going to also say no thanks for the money. I'm fortunate to still have a job, so I don't need this. Illegal edibles raise child safety concerns. A candy maker and poison control are irked. On Christmas Day, a 3-year-old was hospitalized in a New Jersey intensive care unit after eating a package of candy. The pack of sweet and tangy Nerds Rope the toddler consumed had been illegally dosed with 400 milligrams of THC, the mind-altering compound found in marijuana. Last week, a New Jersey preteen made a similar mistake. The child consumed a large quantity of so-called medicated sour skittles, another illegal product that had been almost identically packaged to look like the similarly named popular confection, according to the New Jersey Poison Control Center. That child, too, spent time in a Garden State hospital. 400 milligrams is a lot of THC. Most adults need only a 20 milligram dose to feel buzzed. When the toddler arrived by ambulance at Hackensack University Medical Center, Bergen County, prosecutors described the child as, quote, lethargic and ultimately unresponsive. The girl recovered, but her mother was charged with endangering the welfare of the child. In each case, the candy was illicit. The only edibles New Jersey marijuana dispensaries are permitted to stock are expensive lozenges, typically $50 for a pack of 35 doses, sold in plain packaging. No edibles are sold legally in Pennsylvania. Yet the episodes put an awkward spotlight on New Jersey's soon-to-launch legal marijuana program, which was approved by voters in November. They raised questions about what kinds of dosed edibles should be made available to consumers and how they should be packaged. Yeah, I mean, we should definitely consider not putting a bunch of weed in a candy bar looking packaging, like a Snickers. Probably want to make sure that Skittles package looks different than Skittles with weed. I support that. Last page. Oh. Hey. Yee. Woo. Made it to the end of today's papers together. Again, it's a long process. I'm understanding, trying to make this the most efficient way for everyone. But to read a paper, it takes longer than 10 minutes. If we're going to just go through it as I do, page by page, section by section. So half an hour is like probably pretty basic, pretty minimum time. Letters. James Siebold, Warminster. Penn shares some of the blame. Dr. Kavita Daya, Philadelphia. What is the plan about COVID? Stefan Keller, Huntington Valley. Put Harriet Tubman on $20 bills. Hear, hear. Dear President-elect Joe Biden, if you want to send a clear message that the dark days of the Trump administration are over, I urge you to immediately implement putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. The change is well underway before Trump took office, yet in a not-so-subtle nod to white supremacists, the Trump administration abruptly stopped the process. Their claim that it would take at least 6 years to implement would have been laughable if it were not so blatantly racist. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Put Harriet Tubman on it.
Economics, cause you took yourself from scholar. Right. Master academics, cause your grace said you were scholar. Right. Master Instagram, cause you can instigate a follow. Shit. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it? Yeah. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it? Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Look at all these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it? Yeah. Look at all these slave masters. Hey.
You get it. Cheryl Kalik, Crime and Punishment. Something about Representative Brendan Boyle. A new tax could help fund underfunded schools. PA can learn from states that recently made legislative attempts to increase education funding. Kimberly Cern, a second-year doctoral student in Drexel University School of Education, and a former public school teacher. She's the author. Pennsylvania's school system includes some of the nation's most fiscally disadvantaged public school districts, per one report. One driving reason is inadequate public school funding. Currently, the state covers about 38% of public education costs, which places Pennsylvania 46th in the country for percentage of state public school tax contributions. This has been an annual, perennial, years-long gripe. The fact that out of 50 states, we rank 46th in how much our state gives towards funding for public schools. It's been 48. At one point, a couple of years ago, it was 48, 47. We're getting better, but still 46 out of 50. Deadly Consequences of Trump's Gradual and Insidious Rhetoric by Susan Benesch, the founding director of the Dangerous Speech Project and faculty associate at Harvard University's Berkman Klein Center for Internet and Society. All right. Done. Thanks, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I did. I look forward to another read tomorrow. Hope to see you then. I'm going to try to get on my bike, test out this ankle. I don't know if it's going to work, but might wait a little while. But got to finish some things up. But I'll let you know how it goes. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you later.